Hello there, I'm Peter Cook. I run the Academy of Rock, which blends business and leadership lessons from academia with parallel insights from the world of music and the music business. Together with Tony Michaelides, we run exceptional events, keynotes, and all sorts of unusual interventions. But anyway, first of all, Tony, I want to ask you about U2. What can we learn from U2?
I find U2 are a great lesson learnt from rock and roll. It was some 42 years ago that I first met them. They were fledgling pop stars. Everybody at that stage wants to be successful and be rock stars. But they had a plan. So I find that preparing for success as 18-year-old kids is an incredible lesson. They actually decided when they were preparing for the school disco to share the publishing, so that when the money came in, there was no issues. And the other thing was their ability to engage an audience. I saw them play to 11 people in a pub in Manchester, in England, and 4 of those people came with me. And they engaged that audience, that incredibly small audience, like they were playing to a stadium. And like now, when they play to a stadium, they're playing to 11 people. A phenomenal lesson from rock and roll. And there's more. I also know you've got some interesting outlooks on U2 as well, Peter, so perhaps you'd like to share those with us.
Absolutely everything you've said, Tony, is true of U2. I mean, pretending like it's the first gig every time, that's terribly important. I work with a punk microstar called John Otway, and his great trick of staying alive is to pretend every time it's his first chance to impress an audience. I think that's relevant to businesses as much as it is to musicians. There's a whole article on strategy in U2 in one of my books, and of course I point out in that book that U2 are creatures of habit. Insofar as they haven't diverged into reggae and rap, they've played, some songs that rely on some familiar chord patterns. And AC/DC are another master of this, and I'm just going to demonstrate that to you now.
I know one of the things that brought us together was a love for David Bowie and his music. So maybe you can tell us, Mr. Cook, what we can learn from the great man.
I think the easiest way to explain this is to take a quick look at the CNN clip that I did on the day that he died.
One of the reasons why he's so successful, yes, is because his music is great, but it's also because he's a master of reinvention, and he also knows that if you fail at something, don't stick with it, try something different.
Absolutely. He's reinvented him several times and taken the audience with him, in common with Prince and Madonna, whereas the average artist has one hit and they're done. And, of course, the whole art of business, if you're going to have to change in a volatile world, is keeping the customers you got and getting new ones. And Bowie is actually a case study in that, and I think we should celebrate all of that. I mean, his music has touched me through many, many years, but it's also the other business side of things, which I've written about in a few books.
So Bowie is a completely rare animal in terms of surrounding himself with collaborators that are better than himself, and of course support acts as well. This is really, really unusual, and it's unusual in the world of business as well, because some business leaders like to surround themselves with people that support their own limitations, and the most successful ones want to surround themselves with people that are better than themselves, can challenge them and the business to do better. So it's an entirely transferable lesson.
David Bowie was probably the most exciting period in my career, working as his publicist and arranging his TV and radio on the road. Now, David Bowie doesn't have to do anything, but his ability to adapt to whatever needs to be done, whenever it needs to be done, is phenomenal. And the thing people don't realise about Bowie is him as a human being, his graciousness, his humility, his ability to be able to treat everybody the same when he's at that level of superstardom. And he's incredibly inspirational to a lot of up-and-coming artists. He never worried about putting bands on supporting him that could actually at the time blow him off stage. He was always there to reach and to lend a helping hand. But the most incredible thing about him was his ability to change. He waited 10 years for success, and then along came Ziggy Stardust. And then at his peak, after having no success, he just broke it all off and moved on to the next thing. So there's plenty more to talk about David Bowie, and I'm sure we will.
So if you'd like to find out more about us, get in touch via the YouTube channel. We work on a worldwide basis and are happy to design events to fit your needs. Thank you.
As long as